welcome, please, John Porter. John, can you hear me, my love?
I can hear you fine, Abby. Thank you.
Hello. You look beautiful. And you've got, what flags have you got in the background? Have you got, that's American, is it? And what else have you got in there?
Oh, there's everything up there. There's America, there's the UK. I know that's not a nice flag to be flying, but you know what? I've got the Welsh flag, I've got the Scottish flag. I think there's even an anarchy flag up there as well.
There's an anarchy. Why not? Why not just have it all in there? Why not? John,
John, darling.
They're sent in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chasing Dissent is your the channel that I know you from. So tell people where you know what's been your journey, if you like, for the part. Let's say 3. Well, you can go back as far as you want.
Well, I tell you what. Let's go back to the very start then, because round about January when it all started kicking off, you know, after Event 201 and things started to get a bit squirrely, then people started to say, "Oh, it's more than a cold. It's more than this. It's going to be bad." And you know, I looked at the data and I'm going, you know, everybody calm down. It's not that bad. Just take it easy. We'll see how things progress. And then countries started to lock down and restrictions started to be applied. And Boris Johnson stood up there, and I thought, the guy's right. He's bang on. He stood up there and he said, "Look, we'll just take things easy. We'll kind of take the Swedish approach and we'll see how things go." And then within 3 days, boom, it was a shit show, as you say. And after that, I lost a contract that I had with a major high street bank that had just been renewed for a year. And I haven't worked in that industry since, because I guess I'm too old now. My wife's business was forced closed by the local authority. And although we took every precaution, because it was a gym and vital for mental health, vital for people to get away from being trapped in relationships where they sometimes were actually being abused, and this was our only escape. So what we did was we implemented a one person at a time, you know, come to the gym. So there's only one person in, there's only one member of staff there, there's no contact. We played by the rules, and they sent the police round to arrest us, and to arrest our staff, and to arrest any customers that would be. So we had no option, because it's all very well for yourself to take the hit, but you can't put your staff in that position, and you can't put your customers in that position. So we had no option but to close. And then Scotland, being Scotland, does everything twice as long as everybody else. So effectively the gym was shut for 18 months. And that's now gone. There's a business gone. 12 people lost their jobs. The country doesn't get the tax from that. 2 gyms shut. All gone.
Yeah. And gyms, this is the crazy thing that I just think is criminal, is that people, they were saying, you know, look after your health, you know, shift a bit of weight, change your diet. And then the gyms were one of the first casualties.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Absolutely crazy. And what did you, so Nicola Sturgeon, let's talk about that absolute monster of a woman. Do you remember when she said, John, you'll tell us more, you'll be able to tell us more in more detail. Remember when she said you need to cut the doors off schools, the bottom of the doors in schools, like they were saloon doors to stop the virus? I don't know.
All the kids will just sit there dressed like Eskimos, and with the windows, wide open, and the doors and the bottoms cut off the doors. I mean, it beggars belief. But that's the kind of cult following that this person has attracted over the last 13 years of complete mismanagement of Scotland's politics. Because she's like a David Koresh, she's like a Jones. Dare I say it? She's even like a Hitler, but without the looks, sparkling wit, and charisma. You know, I don't know how she did it. I mean, you know what she was called when she was at uni? You know, they called her seaweed because only the tide would take her out.
Oh my God, I love that. Yeah, exactly. Hitler without the Hugo Boss, without the lovely Hugo Boss suit. I like, as he said, charisma. But I mean, what the hell? What happened with Alex Salmond then and her? I mean, was Alex Salmond any better? I was thinking, what happened there?
No, I don't think so. I think the whole problem with Scottish politics is that it is consumed and it lives in a romanticised past of a movie, and that movie's Braveheart. Everybody thinks they're still living Braveheart. You know, they're all going freedom, and you know, it's not something that the majority of people want because we voted and the majority said no. We'll quite happily stay with the UK, but no, they can't accept that. So they got to keep fighting. And you know what? I'm a Scotsman and I'm as happy as the next person when we eventually beat England on the very odd occasion. I was there when we took the goalposts away at Wembley in 70, whatever it was. But you know what? That's just fun. And yeah, it's a lot of ribbon, and sometimes it's hard ribbon, but it's fun and banter. I don't want to leave England, you know, and the majority of people in Scotland don't want to leave England either because we are better as one country.
Yes, I completely agree. And this whole thing about let's have another vote until we get the right result is just, isn't it? I mean, that is what dictatorships around the world have done. Well, they don't even have votes. They don't even have the pretense of votes, but you know what I mean? They have to have a bit of a pretense. And that's what I find extraordinary is like, no, we're going to have another vote and then another one, you know, and it's amazing. And I hats off to guys like you, the Scots who just said, we're not going to go along with this. No, there's tyranny, which is what it is, isn't it? It's bullying, basically, by one party.
Exactly, and it's just like, we'll keep doing the same thing until we get the result we want, and that never works. It just doesn't work, you know, and other people have tried it, and it doesn't work for them, and it's not going to work for this SNP anyway, because people are now leaving them in droves, you know?
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I found out... I mean, you've seen Hamza. I mean, good grief, the man's incompetent in the extreme.
Hamza. And do you remember when he fell off his trike? Remember when the video was like when he was going up, you know, being all like, I'm really green and carbon neutral or whatever, carbon zero on his little like, scooter, and then he fell over. Oh my God, that was the best. Best video.
I shouldn't say it's me. There's someone does voiceovers for Hamza and calls it Hamza, and there's like 70 videos on YouTube channel that you might hear about today.
Might hear about Hamza. I'll be looking for that. I'll be looking. Is there any, John? Is there any hope for Scottish politics? I mean, because the Tories, obviously, they're traitors. Labour are traitors. The Greens are traitors. Because after the last 4 years, if anyone thinks that we can find a solution in politics, I mean, as in old, you know, where do we go from here? Where does Scotland go?
I mean, I don't know, and I think I do know, but I think the problem's not peculiar to Scotland. The problem's government, and it's massive government, it's overreached government, it's nanny state government, and it's not a government that we can control from the inside or change from the inside. I think it's a government that needs to be, you know, removed and replaced with a completely different system because the system just doesn't work. And it's not working for England. It's not working for Scotland. It's not working for the UK. We're embroiled in wars that we don't need to be embroiled in. You know, I mean, these aren't in our interests. We're again not protecting our people, but protecting our corporations. And in some cases, you know, like for instance, fighting in the Red Sea to allow trade to continue, we're protecting foreign corporations that are delivering goods to us. How is that fair? How's that fair on our people, you know?
Yes, I completely agree. And the last, and young people, you might have heard, I don't know if you heard me before you came on, saying that now there's, and I knew this would happen, you know, when they're ramping up the wars, they're now saying you can, basically come and join the army to basically send young people off after they've been, frankly, their necks have been trodden on by their government. What are your thoughts? Like, do you think that's the next thing we're going to have to go out on the streets about and march, aren't we?
Yeah. Do you think marching changes anything though? Because I mean, they had brilliant, well-attended marches all throughout the pandemic, and did it really change anything? Did it make any difference? Because I it didn't. You know, because the last time I really think a protest made a difference was the poll tax riots. And I think the clue there was in that last word, you know?
Yes, I agree. Although I was thinking about the other day, and they just changed it, didn't they, to council tax? So was it like a sleight of hand? I mean, I asked that as a sort of like open-ended question, you know, like, we'll just change the name of it. Tax is theft anyway. taxi,
yeah.
taxes theft. But I was going to say, John, so tell me about Chasing Dissent. When did you start it? Because I know you're lovely. I see your lovely, your co-host. Ben, he's wonderful, tweets a lot. So tell me when that started.
Oh, well, that's that. It came about because we left Scotland and we went to Europe to see what it was like during the lockdown. We travelled across 8 different countries and never had a problem. Never once had a problem. Never took anything. Never had to display anything. Never had to prove our status to anyone, except in Germany when they wouldn't serve us in a McDonald's in a town, but you were okay if you were on the Autobahn. Right, so mark that one out.
Go on, hold that thought, because we've got to go for a quick break, my love. We'll be back. John Porter will be back off this short break. Don't go anywhere, or I'll come around and pinch your ass. Who writes this stuff? Oh, I do. I'm Abi Roberts. This is TNT.
Roberts on today's News Talk, TNT.
Hello and welcome back, everybody. Now, before we go back to John, who's been fantastic, our fantastic guest, we've got a call, I believe, from Alice in Southampton. Alice, are you there?
Hello, it's Alison from Chelmsford, but never mind, doesn't matter.
Oh, well, you should have put on a funny voice and gone, it's Alice from Southampton. Hi, Alison.
Different people.
You could.
Hello,
my love.
I think your guest is amazing. I think what an amazing guest. The only bone of contention I've got with him, and a lot of people say the same thing, I don't agree that protests don't work. I actually think they do. Hence, all our protests during the lockdowns were not filmed by the mainstream media. Why would that have been if they weren't frightened of those protests?
Good point. Very good point, Alison. And you were there, weren't you, on a few of them, weren't you? In was it 2020 and 2021?
Yeah, I was.
Yes.
Yeah.
I tend to agree. I know where John's coming from. My thing was I would go out and I'd talk to the people who weren't on the protests. I was like, can I have a word with you about stuff? And then watch their faces go. I'm horrified. So, yes, I think, and also galvanising numbers as well. Yeah? Oh. Has Alison gone?
Well, I think Alison made a good point, right? But
thank you, John.
I would refute it slightly in that they maybe don't work because mainstream media don't televise them. So the majority of people don't get to see what's going on. It's like the farmers protesting in Germany and France, and even in Scotland. There was one, they started protesting in Balloch the other day. So the question is, mainstream media don't show it. So only the certain group of people that effectively are locked in echo chambers like we are in Twitter and Telegraph and whatever, we were a small group, we're divided, we're pretty much conquered by our governments. And the mainstream media are basically a propaganda tool of government. And that's why programs like this and programs like our own, Chasing Dissent, are vital to try and reach a bigger audience. And that's why we're trying to grow. And you guys are obviously trying to grow as well. And these are the kind of programs you've got to stay outside the mainstream media in order to get the information across. That's just my...
No, that is a good point. Yeah, I mean, it's. Really, I'm amazed that people aren't more. In some ways, I'm surprised people aren't more angry. I mean, you know that I was arrested, don't you, John? I was arrested in June. Yeah. Now, I have never. I mean, I've had the odd scrape with the law. I mean, as in like when I was a teenager, sort of like, oh, whoops, whatever. Maybe having a bit of this, a bit too much of this on a park bench with my boyfriend. But anyway, that's enough of my personal life. But honestly, I didn't ever think that age 53 I'd be being taken to Holborn police station and put in there for 17 hours for saying the word fuck, while a criminal, Matt Hancock, was inside lying his arse off. That's the bit that's scary to me, is the shift in accountability. In like, who do you go to for the law?
That's the problem, because my trust in the law has completely eroded, and I was a cop for 20 years.
I did not know that.
I was a cop for 20 years. You know,
Wow.
I had a skiing accident and ended up getting put out in what they call ill health, but only because of damage on the earth.
Yeah.
But my trust in the law is completely gone. I wouldn't trust a police officer. I worked for the police in the IT department, Police Scotland, for over 9 years. As a civilian contractor, and I know how they work, and they've completely changed. They're not policing anything anymore. I mean, at least we used to police property in the old days. When you went out in the beat, you had to do your beat. You had to walk around your property, and if a shop got broken in, and you didn't discover it, you got hauled over the coals or hauled over the coals. And that's again back to, we were policing property, we were protecting property, not people, you know. And the police have evolved now that they are nothing but the coercive bully boys of the state. And it's sad to see, because this isn't the police service that I joined, and it's not a police service anymore, is it? It isn't really.
No. And it was. And do you think, John, that's been happening? I mean, obviously, it's been gradually happening, hasn't it? With the, were you ever involved, you know, in police, the police college of policing? Did you ever come across common purpose on your journey through the policing?
Common purpose was never really talked about.
Right.
To be fair, I think the police that I was dealing with, and in fact, when I went back into the police as a civilian contractor doing IT with them, some of the guys that I joined with were in very senior positions. You know, some of them were chief superintendents, some of them divisional commanders. And I mean, I had access at all levels. I actually spoke to the chief constable and the deputy chief constables and everything, and they were all still trying to do the right thing, what they thought was the right thing. But you know what their biggest problem was? It was the government. The government were on their back all the time. The government were always making them do different things, and they were always applying different criteria, so they had to change their focus continually. And you can't work like that. And then you get someone like House. House was the worst thing that ever. You know, what's his name? The former chief constable. He came up from England. He was the worst thing to happen to Police Scotland, because he done away with a traffic department. He did away with, you know, so many different things. All he wanted to do was ride about on a motorbike, a police motorbike at that, you know, posing. And the guy,
being Steve McQueen. Steve McQueen.
The guy was a wee short. He was a wee short ass, and that's the problem. I don't know what it is with, and I don't know how tall you are, Abby. And if I offend you, I'm going to apologise in advance. But for instance, it's like our favourite narcissistic and arrogant dwarf, you know, Nicola Sturgeon. How does she get away with it? Because she's such a tiny person, but she has this following that are like, they're clamouring at her coattails. And you only have to look at any of the Twitters or any of the Telegrams or any of the social media, and they're still clamouring away on Nicola did a great job. They cannot see that Scotland, with half the population of Sweden, had the same amount of deaths. How is that a good effort, you know?
Yeah.
How is that a good effort?
Crazy. I've had some comments on here praising you, saying wonderful, John, absolutely wonderful, and couldn't agree more about your point about televising the protests. Although it's great. This is what the show's TNT is about, right? My show is you can agree to disagree. Free speech. Who'd have thought? Although, judging by some of the people who want to arrest Bob Moran, we won't go into that at the moment. But maybe we'll talk about that another time, John. Somebody's put they've lost all trust, not just for policemen, for doctors, politicians, lawyers, all of it.
Yeah.
Yes, teachers. Oh, the way the teachers were with the kids and the masks. I had to I had to virtually go into my nephew's school, and you know. Thank God my sister, though, was quite awake to it, to the mask thing. But, I mean, I used to cry at night thinking, oh, God, I don't like the idea of kids, you know, being just muzzled, you know? It used to make me feel sick.
A generation's lost its education because, yeah, you might say it's only 2 or 3 years, but that's an education for people. You know, that's the critical time. My daughter had just started high school. She was in like second year or something like that. And then this happened, and she was just lost because they sent everyone home. They tried to do this virtual teaching. It just doesn't work. We give her more information, taking her around Europe and getting her to live. She even went to school in France. She couldn't speak French. She went to school in France. She wants to go back to France.
Oh,
because she doesn't see anything here for her. And I don't blame her. I don't blame her. And,
exactly,
and
John.
I'm not a pro-EU. I'm not.
John, my darling, that's all we've got time for. Unfortunately, please do come back, though. I'd love to see you. Definitely come back as a regular guest. Love you, John. Thank you so much. And good luck. And see you soon.
Thank you, Abby. Bye.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to us. Now we want to listen to you. Our lines are open from the U.S. and Canada. Call